Down. Hello and welcome to the Social Recruiting Show. I'm Katrina Collier. I am a social recruiting trainer and speaker. I don't know what I am today because I'm hungover from the breakfast. It's worth it. I'm, of course, joined by my gorgeous co-host, Audra Knight, who is an employer branding genius, currently sporting a broken leg and a purple cast, so we'll forgive her anything. Today, we have candidate experience royalty on in the form of Kevin. Actually, do you know what? I don't know if it's Grossman or Grossman.
It's Grossman.
Not too bad.
It means big man in German. Big man.
It means what?
Big man. I don't know. It's big man. It's literally big man.
Chimes going off. Who has chimes?
I don't know. It's not my clock.
That's mine.
Audra, we'll forgive you everything. We know damn well you can't go upstairs at the moment.
Yes, thank you. So, Kevin, thanks so much for being here.
Sure.
I've been following you and have been a big fan since, I think, back when you were with Talent Culture a couple years ago. But for anyone that maybe doesn't know your experience, what you're doing with the KNDs, could you give us a little background as to where you got to where you are now?
Sure. So I've been in the HR recruiting technology space for, over 18 years, an old dog in the space, as I like to say, primarily on the solution provider side, on the technology platform side. And I always like to joke to say I play HR and recruiting on TV. I love HR and I love recruiting and have worked very closely with practitioners for a long, long time. Never have exactly been one myself, although I've done all the things in recruiting where it's the recruiting, the hiring, and the firing too, that part. And then about a little over 2 years ago, the co-founders of the Talent Board started talking to me about coming on board and helping them to kind of grow and scale this nonprofit, this little engine that could, as I called, a candidate experience awards and research program. And it was just a mission that I had already been involved with. I was a volunteer with the group. And was already in love with it, so just said, yeah, let's do it. So I'm coming up on 2 years now of helping to run this nonprofit research organization, all about elevating and promoting a quality candidate experience.
Do you sometimes think it's a bit strange that we have to do that?
Well,
I was getting shit yesterday because I'm standing on stage reminding humans to talk to people like people, and I was going, hey, can you believe I need to get on stage and do this? Where did it all go wrong?
Well, I think it's just because there's just more awareness on it. I mean, even before the Talent Board was founded and launched, I mean, we really, anybody that's been in recruiting for any length of time, we've been talking about it for a long time. But it's also the issue, because I hear both sides of this, right? Because there's a lot of employers and organizations that I work with through the research and a lot of workshops that we do and other activities and events. And, I look at recruiters who nod when we're talking about, these are things that we recommend that you do. We can dig more into it in the show too. But then at the same time, I see head shaking, like, I can't touch everybody. I can't make everybody happy. I can't. And you think about it for a minute, right? 99 out of 100 people do not get the job every single time. On the average, there's already a negative sentiment that's baked into that pie, right? Already, no matter how well they're treated. And at any given point, once you reject somebody, it can go sour pretty quick. So it's tough. It's not easy to do, but there are things that organizations finally have been understand the impact on their brand as well as the potential impact on their business in the form of revenue and referral networks too.
So where do you start? Do you start right at the job application and go right through to onboard, or where do you sort of sit with your assessing of
so I'll give
what
it
you call candidate experience?
The framework of our research program is pre-application through onboarding.
Okay.
Mostly, I mean, most of the body of our research is external hires, although there is a percentage of internal that is in research, because it's all about who the employers want to target as a population in the research that they do with us. But it's really 24/7 all the time, anytime. I mean, one of the things I always like to say that we're all professional candidates at any given time, a period, whether we're gainfully employed, entrepreneurial, unemployed, it doesn't really matter. At any given time, anything can change our minds, turn our heads. We could get laid off. We have to be actively looking. That's why I don't like the active passive conversation. I just think that you either are or you aren't. You are or you aren't, but you're always a candidate. So
yeah, I mean, I'd like to think I'm not, but if somebody presented me something really juicy and you're like, you know, you caught you on a bad day, you kind of
but think about it for a minute. If I had a bad day at work and I get home and there's that right email waiting in my inbox, or somebody pings me on Facebook or LinkedIn, or I have a conversation, I'm out for a drink and somebody says, hey, you know, this company X is doing this, or hey, listen, I'm starting a new business. I mean, it's just about, it's timing and synchronicity sometimes too. But I think the thing that it's really at all touch points, and more than ever, it's really important on the recruitment marketing side, on the front end, that, you know, most of us, per at least talent board research, over 3/4 of us are doing our own research. We're doing our own hands-on active research. It's only, and it's a much smaller percentage anyway, that of senior management and maybe really sought after positions where, as recruiters, you have to go find them and search after them and really source those folks. But most of us are taking that on ourselves. So it behooves an organization to really lay it out there and be clear with me. I mean, more than ever, referrals are always important for employers, but but even more so through our research, candidates themselves are leaning more on their peer referrals, employee referrals, as well as customer referrals.
Yeah, it's a transparent world, isn't it? Audra, what's Animal talking about over here?
So he's got a question about third-party recruiters. How do they break the news that a candidate who interviewed and really wanted the job and thought she was well qualified didn't get the job?
So read that again to me.
So I think that the tricky part is it's being a third party recruiter. How do they break the news to someone who thought they were well qualified that they didn't get the job in the most positive way?
Well, there's not a cookie cutter answer for that, because I can tell you, whether you're a direct corporate recruiter, third party, I like to say you want to be specifically ambiguous. I'm serious. I
so nearly spat my tea out. That's
think about that for a minute, because you don't want to be personal at all. You want to avoid that at all costs. You want to focus on, you know, what the skills and experience that you were looking at that job, but make it sound specifically ambiguous. That can go miles though. The thing that impacts negatively more so than not is not saying anything
and not giving any feedback,
not responding at all, not bringing any closure. There's two things that we all want, period, as a job seeker and a candidate, and that's acknowledgement that I'm interested in your brand, your company, and your jobs, and two, closure. If you're not gonna follow through with me and you're going to reject me, then let's be done with it.
That's sort of understanding of the time frame, isn't it? And then the knowing, like you're saying, it's closed. It's
exactly.
I mean, it's kind of really obvious when you think about it, but we just forget in the day-to-day when we're busy. And
well, it is.
And I do think it is harder for third-party recruiters, because I think that a lot of the time they're kept at that arm's length,
right? Yeah,
and not for the information. But then I know in-house recruiters who also struggle because they're not given the feedback from hiring managers.
Well, and that's another part of the equation. That's always. That's a long time perennial fight, right? Or it's out of the control of the recruiters. But I can tell you a lot. There are organizations, more the mid-sized, larger global organizations, that participate in our research and have won the candies, again, solely based on their candidate ratings, not a judged process. But they have the bigger teams. They also have made the investment in ensuring that there's some kind of remedial training for hiring managers, as much as they can do, as it relates to everything from interview tips and skills to, I mean, you know, one of the biggest negative reasons why a candidate pulls themselves out of any search, the recruiting process has to do with the fact that their time was disrespected during interviews and appointments. And how many times have we canceled and rescheduled candidates because, and mainly because of hiring managers? I've been a hiring manager. I've done that myself. I've been guilty of that. And no matter how apologetic that I am, you take that stuff with you like baggage. It's this visceral response of like, I took my time out of my day to be here. Yeah. And now you're telling me that you're going to have to reschedule because for whatever reason. I mean, barring a personal emergency, most of the time that's not really the case.
It's just crap, isn't it? They really just rescheduling. Have a cup of tea.
And that impacts, and the thing that not everybody drinks this cup of tea is, I'll put it this way, but there are organizations more and more that are looking at their candidates as the primary customer of recruiting. There's a customer facing kind of aspect to that, and if you start putting it through that lens, it starts to make more of a difference. And again, I mean, there's been the well publicized case study from Virgin Media, right? That was about a year ago, I think, that they measured their own impact of a negative candidate experience and then how it turned into a positive. So over £4 billion lost due to poor candidate experience, and then they turned it into a net profit when they started making incremental improvements in their recruiting process.
So obvious, isn't it?
But companies are doing that. I mean, think about it. Consumer-based businesses could potentially, the impact is in the millions. Airlines and retail and hospitality. Some of that is out of your hands, but some of it it can actually be improved upon and turned into a positive. At least we see that with the companies that we work with.
Can I ask a question along the time? It'd be very interesting to know if my gut is wrong, because I haven't got the stats you've got. So I have this thing about being able to apply on a mobile phone. And I just think if you can't apply on a mobile phone, you should walk into the CEO and ask the CEO to do it. Because as soon as he actually realizes there's this huge issue, hopefully he'll go, or whatever budget you need, knock yourselves out.
Right.
That's my hope. I could live in a dream world. But somebody wrote on one of the Facebook groups, well, no, I don't think 10 minutes is long for a job seeker to fill out an application. And I'm just like, what are they doing for 10 minutes? They should just be able to go name, phone number, CV attached, resume in your case, send. Like, do you have any stats on how long they're actually prepared to spend? Maybe
no, I think your question is accurate. I think what we've seen, here's my take.
Obviously, we're intolerant due to online shopping, right? We're just like, click, it's bought, it's on its way. Amazon will have it here tomorrow. Right.
I'm gonna make something up first, and then I'll give you some actual data. Right. So think about this, that, pre-worldwide interwebs, right? We still have paper applications and a long, lengthy process to apply. I mean, generally speaking, of course, it's going to vary from company, industry, but there's a lot of stuff that we captured on paper when we wanted people to apply for our jobs. Then we had the worldwide interwebs went live. Then we started to develop career sites, and then we pasted the application online to have people start filling out, and we didn't change anything. So it took 45 minutes, 60 minutes and longer to complete. And then finally, you look at today, there is a trend overall where it's getting to be 10, 15 minutes or less to get them in the door. But then you've got the back end processes, the technologies themselves, screenings, assessments, actual live recruiter screening interaction to move folks along the pipeline once they're in the door. Now I'm getting to your mobile question, I promise.
No, it's cool. I'm trying to. I don't know what S hash means. I'm getting distracted by Audra's comments at the same time.
Kevin, you were just reminding me about we used to ask for social security number just to apply for a job.
Oh my God, no!
Exactly. Yes, when my daughters eventually are of the age to apply for jobs, and there's an employer asking for that information online, they're not going to finish applying for the job. No, I mean, it's just like so. There is a trend.
Can we have your fingerprints while we're here?
There is a trend for that. Now, about 35% of North American candidates through our research are still taking 30 plus minutes to complete. They tell us to complete their application. So there's still the longer side, but there is a trend to get it to 10 to 15, even 5 minutes. To get them in the door, and that includes the mobile apply or in a responsive design development where it doesn't matter what device you're on, so I can apply. What's interesting though is that 80% of the employers through North America this last year that say that they offer mobile apply. Let me say that right. About 80% as of last year say they offer it. But only about 12% of the candidates through North America tell us they actually applied. Now, we didn't ask the question, do you do your research and do you look at career sites? We asked, did you apply via a mobile device? And only about 12% said that they did. Now, I
actually think you'd find it was a higher percentage here in the UK, but maybe I'm biased. I think we're more technically savvy.
I think it is a little bit higher, but not so much more. I'd have to dig into the Armia data a little bit, and I didn't have that handy. So
no, that's right.
but I think it is higher. I think it is higher. But think about.
I was so like with this comment going like, no, I think it's rude to ask somebody to spend 10 minutes just to get a CV in front of you. They've written their CV or resume, as you guys call it. Just stick it in an email. Like, why are we making it so complicated? That's all. If you're going to go and interview, and then you can drag them into your ATS. Like, just...
right. By the way, how many of you? I mean, either of you, Katrina or Audra, have you worked with customers, clients, employers, and have asked them the question? Have you ever gone through your own application process? Have you ever applied for your own jobs? And when that's a huge recommendation, right? Because and folks like Elaine Orler and Jerry Crispin have been talking about that for years. And since I've been helping to run the candies, every workshop I do, I ask that, only a smattering of hands go up, right?
So I had a client the other day. They'd gone on to a new, I will not name names, I'll be nice, a new big that you'd know, ATS.
Come on, it's just there's nobody listening right now. There's nobody listening.
I think it was Taleo, but they'd gone from Success Factors. I'm pretty sure it was that way. And she was heartbroken as it was, because she has tennis elbow and she's having to click even more. And she said it's just, it sounds silly, but all those extra clicks are driving her nuts. But anyway, I'm sitting there they had an iPad out in their reception and I'm playing and I can't get through. So I pick up my phone and I start trying to play and I'm like, what's going on? So they put in this new applicant tracking system, which was from the apply by LinkedIn button actually, but it wasn't on the mobile. You couldn't actually apply. It was going a loop. I was doing this loop, and they actually worked out they'd had 94 people click through and only 30 had actually got through, all individuals, but only 30. And you're like, that's because those 30 must have been on the desktop and the rest just went, oh, this is too stupid. And so I think if you're a tech company, that's even worse. Because the people are going, well, you can't even sort out your application. I wonder what your tech's like. I'm not working for you.
Think about abandonment rates, right? I mean, we're short attention span theater anyway. That we're hitting websites and we're spending 30 seconds, 45 seconds on there.
Yeah.
And if you can, and the long, so I mean, abandonment's going to be pretty quick. There's this anecdote that I'll never forget. So a year ago, doing one of our first workshops, there's a woman who was sharing her story. She's a recruiter now, and was talking about how she was applying for a company. She had networked into the company, but she still had to go through the online application process, right? So she's taking her time. It's one of those where she has to log in and she can save where she's at and come back, whatever the ATS was. So she kept going, and 2.5 hours later, which it wouldn't have actually taken that long if she just went straight through, but this is what she took to do it. And she gets it all done and she hits submit. And what do you think happened?
It froze.
Lost the line.
No, that's always the first response, and that's always painful if it's like a 404 error no, she got within 30 seconds a rejection note. Automated email.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
they closed the rec.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but the fact that, it was just, that's a setting that can be changed by the company, right? I mean, you can have it go out 24 hours later, 48 hours later, but it went out immediately, and it was to this day, she won't ever let that go. I mean, she will never forget that. And they never gave her an explanation, and there was never anything else. It was just, and this is after she had already networked into the company and had at least a couple of wins. So, but this is the stuff.
It's just a bit bullshit like that. I mean, my sister had that as well. 20 years experience. Do you have a degree? No, rejected.
Right.
But she's got 20 years of freaking experience. It's like, yeah.
That's part of the reason. That's part of the
I disagree with Animal. He's written down the side here about, isn't it bad to have fast application? It encourages frivolous applications. I tend to teach in the highly sought after space rather than we're overwhelmed with application space. So no, I disagree. I'd rather have too many and be able to go, okay, quick, I can see that they're not right.
Well, that depends. I mean,
to put off those amazing developers or nurses or plasterers and chefs and whatever else is in short supply.
I've had those. I mean, I know, and I've heard the other side of that too, right? I mean, there's still some companies that they do assessments up front for a good portion of recs that they have out there, and they want people to self-select. And again, that's going to be something that's got to be more configured per what the company needs is and what jobs that they have out there and the recs. But there is, again, the trend to collapse and get in the door. But the heavy lifting screening is right on the inside of the door, though, right? That's where it's starting to happen more. So maybe you're increasing the volume of people getting through the door, but there's already things in place to help move folks along, whether they're immediately rejected or not. Again, in the house. I'm trying to I'm stretching my metaphors. I don't know what's going on. All right. I am sorry. I need a drink of agua. Hold on.
No, it's all good.
Kevin, we just changed our application process, and I'm psyched about this, so that you just put your name and your email, and then it takes you to a 5-6 minute application. But if you drop off, like maybe 70%, maybe do for some recs, we have your name and email. So then my team can do email marketing. We can say, oh, you didn't finish, and we have some information about them. So I think more companies are doing that, which is awesome.
Are you kind of considering like that your talent network then, community name, insert name of choice? Is that something that you're just keeping folks warm then if they don't convert?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're getting more information about them so now that recruiters can see who started the application, because there were so many people that we were seeing were dropping off and we had no information about them. So we're getting, and a lot of people are willing to just give their name and email. Maybe won't finish.
Is it one size fits all? Is it for most of the recs that you have out that you're doing this for? Or is it?
Yeah, we're doing it for
customized.
We're using Clinch. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're using them.
Shane Gray's company, the world traveler, Shane Gray. Yes.
Yep. So we're using them.
Last seen on a plane.
It's too new to really get enough data yet because we just started, but we're seeing so many people are willing to just give their name and email, like Katrina said, but maybe not finish the whole application. But then we have some information so we can email market to them or reach out to them.
Well, and then
if you're keeping all of that real, they can either stay in the process going, I want to join, I was a fool to stop, or go, actually, no, it's clearly not the place for me.
Yeah.
As well, like going back to that deselecting.
Exactly. And that's thinking like a marketer. Right.
Yep.
That's, in full transparency, let's kill that buzzword, right? Let's use that. But it's important though. And it is true when it comes to what we're talking about. But for me, I'm a marketer by trade. That's been a big part of what I've done in the bulk of my career to date. So to see a lot of those tactics and strategies applied to recruiting, it warms the bubbles of my heart.
Recruiters don't think like marketers. That's the only problem.
It's starting to change a little bit.
But I just find it easier rather than going your personal brand. It's like, do you look like someone worth talking to? Like I just try and take all the buzzwords out. Like, would you respond to you? If you Google you, would you respond to what you say? And then they kind of get it. Because we think differently to a marketer. To me, marketers like lots of information going out, mightn't necessarily be that targeted. Whereas recruiters like delve in, find someone, get them, talk them, hook them on, sell to them the whole way. Blah, 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 blah. It's like
think about customer marketing though, or customer service, right? Like more companies that I know that are leveraging social media channels just to answer questions of job applicants, right? Twitter chats and Facebook live streaming, and I mean T-Mobile does where they live stream their call centers, a day in the life of what it's like to work there, right? Because that's a high churn awesome market, but they're like, come ask us questions about it. You know what it's like. This
and keep it real. This is what it's like in our call center, and I'd run a mile, and others would go, that looks cool,
and live chats and at certain times they're not like 24/7 live chats, but certain times during the week with either somebody on the recruiting.
Oh, no, sorry, I was laughing at Mark's comment. Sometimes if I giggle and it doesn't make sense to what you're saying, just ignore me. I'll have been distracted. We were talking attention spans by a comment. Sorry.
That's why I'm trying not to.
I do it every week.
Avoiding.
Yeah, it's distracting.
I'm avoiding the stream. I just because I just want to talk, have a discussion. This has been great.
We're loving it. Keep talking.
So the
down the side we're going to deal with. It's awesome.
I know. Recruiting animal keeps throwing me, so I have to.
That's what I meant.
I got to keep looking away. Look away.
Stop making me.
No, thank you. This is great.
It's awesome. He's there interacting.
No. It's great. It's a great discussion. What was I babbling about? Oh, and then now the whole chatbot thing, right? I mean, the AI robots aren't taking over anytime soon, but there are experimentations going on with some startups and that at least I'm aware of that are experimenting with just answering general questions on the career site via a chatbot, right? I mean, that's happening now too.
And I think if people know they're chatting to a chatbot, that's cool. So I know Zalando is doing that because they have that highly sought after developer, 5 job applications per developer. You know, there's not enough of them. So once they're on the site, they want to keep them there. So they're using it to keep people there.
Right.
Also, not just to get them to deselect out by chatting, but the people know they're chatting with a chatbot. And I think that's fine.
Yeah.
You try and.
Well, I don't. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Don't try to pull like there's a service that I tried. And I may give it a try again, but it was the Amy and Andrew scheduling AI tool. I don't know if anybody's out there. Maybe somebody out there in the stream has tried it before.
Wasn't Jess Roberts just saying you did Amy for a week and book like 60 meetings or something?
Yeah. So, but
Amy, I can't remember.
I didn't give it enough. So here's the thing. In all reality, I didn't give it enough time, right? Because you're supposed to. It's a learning algorithm, right? Just like a lot of machine learning is being applied today and a variety of things. I didn't give it enough time. So what I found though early on in experimenting with it, it was still taking 2 to 3 times longer to still schedule things than if I just used my schedule once link and sent it to somebody and said pick a time that works for you. Now. That doesn't mean that.
So I use that, and then I forget to put in the time to move. So they'll book me at 3, and I'm like, oh God, at 4 I actually need to be in town. And I'm really shit for that. Like I need to block out time, and I don't.
But the customer,
I only get caught about once a fortnight, but it does make me laugh every time.
Oh, there you go. But it's the customer service approach, right? To answering questions, promoting your brand, making sure that you know at least those active job seekers that are actually engaging with you, wanting to know more about your organization, and that's stuff that's happening now, and that's a different approach that we didn't see, you know, 5, 6, 7 plus years ago.
We didn't have it. It wasn't there.
We didn't have it. Now it's
I mean,
here.
you think in 10 years how much the world's changed. It's extraordinary.
And it is.
But I was just going to say, I have my, so I use Acuity. So at least we're naming more than one calendar one. But I actually have it embedded in my website. And people just book in a call. It's awesome. Right. So that, again, all the resistance is gone. It's the same kind of thing. Right. Schedule a chat with a recruiter. Boom.
Right. Yeah.
What if they're unwritten to... Sorry, Audra. Sorry.
What if they don't want to take the call? What if they just start getting this calendar full of candidates that aren't qualified? Or does that happen to you?
You ask some pre-qualifying questions.
Yeah.
You could. I know in my tool, I mean, in the Calendly, there's a lot of different tools that I know and that I've been told at workshops that we do that recruiters are using. Because the scheduling part is always a bugaboo, right? It's always, that's always the hard one.
Back forth.
Yeah, back and forth all the time. But I know with Schedule Once, if somebody sends me some times that they're recommending that they want to talk to me on, I still hold the power of whether I want to approve that or not.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's still at me at the end of the day setting my schedule based on their recommendations, and I can flip back and say, please pick something else.
Yeah.
I mean,
I had one a couple of days back actually, which was actually quite cheeky because they basically just wanted to pick my brains, but at least they said that. So I then chose to help. Yeah. Because I thought, you know, pay it forward, 20 minutes, whatever. But it was quite funny because I read it and went, that's so cheeky. But I made them move times because I went that whole, if it was a client, you know, but actually I'm going to make them move because it was a really awkward time. John has written down here a comment, hasn't he, about chatbots. Chatbots are ideally placed, in the frequently asked questions. Yeah, absolutely. If they can't answer, the person is passed to live, real person.
Right.
I need a robot maid and a nanny. You need someone to walk upstairs for you, sweet pea.
Yes. But Kevin, were you saying
walk upstairs for you?
That would be ideal right now. But were you saying that if you have a chatbot, you should just kind of admit that it's a chatbot, or do you try and pretend like is a person and try and fool them? No,
I don't think that's. You don't pretend. I mean, number one is that most of us can figure out that it's not because it's just the technology. I mean, it's just not there yet. That's why I make the joke that the robots aren't taking over anytime soon because this is all cool stuff. That is it's awesome that today we have the computing power and the algorithms and the technology to really begin to do this and do this stuff now, but it's still not, it doesn't have the subtle nuance of human interaction, and it won't, who knows for how long that'll be. But so no, and I don't think that the context that I've seen them in is that you're not trying to pull the wool over their eyes. When I hit a website, even when it's just a chatbot for general customer service, for me intuitively, I don't think they're trying to say that this is a human. They make it look like that, but Maybe individuals that think that that's the case. I don't know, but I don't think it's not some. You're not trying to tell me that it's because you can tell immediately when I start interacting. At least I can so far that it's not. But I guess my point is that there's been some like risk management solutions and Questrade and a few other companies that I'm aware of that actually have live chat sessions with real people.
Yeah.
2 or 3 times during the week, 2-hour blocks of time. Come ask us questions about, I'm a real recruiting person that's here to answer what it's like to work here. It could be a hiring manager doing some of them too. It just depends, but that stuff's happening too on the live side. But I don't think the wool's being pulled over our eyes too much with the chatbots. I don't.
Anyway, if all else fails, Jim Stroud actually thinks that we should just invent a chatbot to help clueless guys pick up women in bars. A virtual wingman.
Yeah.
And Mark has written, Siri, sorry I didn't get that. What do you mean? Heaven must be missing an angle. Very good.
That's funny.
Mark helped me get drunk yesterday at Recfest.
Good time. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all his fault. Nothing to do with me.
It seems very different than US conferences.
That puts the social and social recruiting, right, Katrina?
Did you see the selfie? Actually, I taught Mark the timed selfie, which I actually taught with Jim, learned from with Jim at SOSU in Singapore, the timed selfie. So we were doing those yesterday, but we were the first to get beer at the bar. It was like we were there ready, waiting for 1:30 so we could shop.
So I'm glad you're not Snapchatting, are you? I just don't. These kids today with their long hair, I just don't. I don't know.
You gotta get on it.
I was, but I got bored, so I haven't been in for a while.
I'm just
the Instagram stories took over and it's actually better. So it's like,
yeah, and I'm more of an Instagram guy anyway, not necessarily but I'm not Pinterested in Snapchat. I just don't know. I know that was a dumb joke, right? Sorry. Did you get that? Everybody get that? Did you get the rim shot? Did recruiting?
I can't do Pinterest either. I'm not visual enough for that. Right. See, Instagram is visual, but I find it easy.
But you know what?
But I can't do Pinterest. That makes no sense.
No, I don't get it either.
It's not. It's not. But you know what though? Here's the thing. If I was a recruiter today by trade, and I'm targeting certain demographics that are using those tools,
applications,
by all means, right?
But I would just like to say, because I'm such an Instagram fan, you can source really well on Instagram, and there are all sorts of people on there. So anyone that thinks that just your designers on there is making a mistake, because lots of accountants, developers, all sorts are on there. It just attracts. And I love it. I mean, lots and lots of clients interact with me in the main.
It's getting the older.
Sorry.
It's attracting the old folk.
The old folk.
No, well,
not Audra, the rest of us.
Yeah, well, it is though. I see it.
Yeah.
You're always noticing.
Trying to monitor their kids and then got hooked. But what I love is that I have these really genuine interactions with clients now.
Oh, do you?
I can easily keep in touch with them on there. And people go, HR directors aren't on there. Yeah, they are. I've got IT director mates on there. Like, don't say somebody's not on there. Go find out. It's frustrating. Sorry, I'm ranting.
No, not at all.
It's a hangover.
One thing that I wanted to throw out there too is that a lot of the research that we measure goes from pre-application to onboarding, and one of the things that we have found year after year that continues to be a differentiator is communication and feedback. So, and not just providing that specifically ambiguous feedback when you're rejecting but also asking for feedback, right? Whether it's even in the form of, listen, is there anything even at the application stage, online on the application, there's an open-ended question. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us before, that we didn't ask you? Or can you tell us about the experience? How was the interview process? Are your feedbacks important to us? That's that customer service approach again. And even though a negative, it doesn't necessarily warm the negative sentiment that much, maybe incrementally, it still can go miles and perceive fairness of like, well, at least you're being a human with me and you're asking me what I think. And for anybody out there who thinks that candidates that have been rejected don't respond, they do respond, because we've got a whole mountain load of data of candidate responses, asking them, and more than just 3 or 5 questions too, multiple questions.
Yeah.
You're giving them an opportunity to have a voice in the process.
Yeah.
And if you don't, they might go to Glassdoor.
Well, or Indeed, or Facebook, or Twitter.
They're doing that anyway. And they're right. Yeah. They're going on Twitter. No. And we see that too. I mean, both positive and negative experiences are being shared, not only with your inner circle, but on social channels as well. And we've all seen the rants on LinkedIn of people that note to self, let's not source him, right? Or her. No, because I mean, but they're doing it, and they are going to go to Glassdoor still, and they are going to share their experiences still. Most of us, though, at least per our research, are sharing with our inner circle, our spouses, significant others, close friends, and family. But then,
as you said, not buying the products and services as well, and that still affects B2B, even though less so. But it was still.
Well, I like to make the joke. Lockheed Martin, for example, is a multi-year Candy Award winner, just based on their candidate. And Marvin Smith, who's a lot of us know Marvin Smith, longtime sorcerer in the
love him.
He's amazing, and I like to tease him a lot. But if I'm an engineer and I'm applying at Lockheed Martin and I'm treated horribly throughout the process, and then you reject me, I'm not going to not buy military equipment because you didn't give me the job. But I am going to tell my engineering friends, I had a crummy time going through the process, and maybe a fraction of those won't actually go through with the fact that, I was thinking about applying at Lockheed Martin, and it just begins to add up and aggregate, right? Over time.
They're on their little niches chit-chatting about us. We just don't know.
Well, they are. I mean,
just go to it elsewhere where we don't understand so well, you know? I'm trying to think of the name of that website. I can't think of.
And that must be even more.
By the way, there's another employer. In fact, I didn't know this because I just came across it. But there's another review site that was just for women professionals.
I know.
Fairy God Bus. It's Fairy God Bus. I have never. Yeah. Do you know much about that site?
Yeah, I just did a demo. It's pretty cool.
Is it cool?
See, I've just pulled all these faces of the whole women thing again. I really got to stop doing that. I'm just not a typical female, see? So they do it, and I'm like,
There's at least 10 or 12 different review sites. Some are tailored to.
Yeah, I know. There's Yeah. No, I'm a father of 2 girls, Katrina. You know, so at some point they're going to grow up and be part of the. But I didn't know that there was a site like that. But I mean, you know, and by the way,
there was a presentation yesterday about women in STEM. And I kind of get where they're coming from, but I've always worked in male-dominated environments, never had an issue with it.
Sure.
So because I personally don't understand. And so that's why the face gets pulled. I should actually stop the face before.
No, that's okay. Everybody has.
But it's just I don't know that Audra gets it either.
Everybody has their own experience, right? Everybody has their own experiences, and I sorry, I didn't want to turn this show into
No, but could you imagine if we had a male-only review site? The world would be up in arms.
Yeah. Well, we don't have a lot of times we don't have a problem with diversity in that sense. Where if your company has a really hard time with getting females, then that could be a space where you might want to put some content.
Mostly female, nursing, mostly female. There's lots of industries that are more
right. And then you wouldn't need that site. But if you were in an industry where you needed more females, it would make sense to put your jobs there.
See, I'm pretty fly for a white guy, but that's.
There's 2 questions in there. Adam, don't use the questions section.
I didn't know there was a question section. What is it?
Adam Gordon, I adore you. Could you just use the chat box?
Right.
Should internal recruiters withdraw service to hiring managers who don't provide satisfactory candidate service? Should internal recruiters withdraw service to hiring managers who don't provide satisfactory candidates?
I'd like to see you try to pull that one off. I mean,
you don't have a choice.
I have no, but I've heard similar sentiments before when where we're talking in behind closed door with a group of talent acquisition professionals. So I mean, there's again remedial training that they're trying to imply and enforce. I mean, and tying candidate experience to not only recruiter performance but the hiring manager performance. I mean, that's progressive, but I've seen that being experimented with. But that's a tough one though, because I don't know what the realities of that really is. But
Adam, tell us what you think we should do.
That's cool.
Should internal recruiters withdraw service? I would be more inclined to go and for the low-hanging fruit. So this hiring manager over here is more helpful.
Right.
I'm not answering. I'm not reading out his other question because that was Bachelor and we covered that earlier. So sorry, Adam. Sorry. I'll buy you a beer.
But
Kevin, before
Ooh,
go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I have a quick question for you. Going back to where you said maybe so there's 99 people that don't even make it to the interview phase, or maybe 90. Do you think there's anything better than that automatic ATS rejection email? Do you know of any better thing? Because it can't obviously talk to all of them.
Well, again, this is okay. This gets into again the subtlety of the copy that you're putting together and trying to make personable. I mean, if we get an automated email from any entity, most of us, the response is meh. You know, we know it's an automated email, but there many different companies that are trying to just inject a little bit more personable communication in those automated emails. You can't get around that, and there's no way that you can scale human touch with, you know, hundreds of thousands of applications that you're getting every month. I mean, there's a cold hard reality to that, but it's still a mix of automation and improving on your communications. I mean, I know Capital One and Wells Fargo, and a list can go on of companies in the past 1 to 2 years that have done a complete revamp of their communications. I mean, really going through some hiring third-party services or just doing it internally to really try to get more nuanced in who's getting what kind of communication when, because we can do that on the automation side, and then ensuring that there's much more hands-on when you're getting to the final interview stage. I mean, that's really where, if, you know, it always blows my mind that still in screening and interview stage, according to our data again, only about 8% of candidates are even getting phone calls at that stage from recruiters just saying, listen, we're not going to, you know, pursue you any further, but thanks for I mean, there's just missed opportunities. And I know sometimes it is a time issue if you're carrying, you know, dozens of racks and all that stuff, but it a little bit goes a long way in perceived fairness and lessening the negative impact on your brand, and ultimately referral networks that some, you know, companies, whether it's 25, 35, 45%, whatever that is, you need to have. So there's small investments. These aren't really major changes in your communication feedback strategy, but small incremental changes can go miles and miles and miles.
Can I just address that with a comment here that's from Adam? You can indeed make comms personal automatically using text. So I am going to introduce you to Adam Gordon at Candidate ID, because I think you should go.
I think I know.
Have a look.
I don't know if I met. It sounds familiar. I don't know if we had met before or not, but he's talking about texting.
Don't know.
No,
I'll introduce you. No. It's like really, really cool, and it's different again from Clench. So I'd love you to have a look at it, because it's it's pretty rare. I go, wow, that's cool, and I start there going, wow, that's cool, like, because I'm a bit jaded after all these years. Right. So yeah, I'll introduce you all, and you can all sort it out.
Sure.
But it's candidate.id. I love it. I think it's really quite clever, and it's all about, you know, once people are again hooked in, and that's keeping them in. It's clever. He explains it way better than I do.
Nice. No, that's great. Absolutely. But so that's really, again, I just wanted to emphasize that's a continuous differentiator is that part of just, again, communication, consistent communication, setting expectations. Don't say that it's going to take 2 weeks when it takes 6. Just be really clear.
It's like my accountant, to be fair.
What's that? Yeah, I know.
Like my accountant. Yeah.
You know,
Audra, what's this conversation you got going down the side?
Leave it there.
I know it's interesting. No, I'm sensing it's interesting, but
oh god, we're talking about Reddit sites now and like Reddit pages.
No, we've moved on to gaming. What's that all about?
Well, Jim was saying that you could have. Well, I'll just read it actually. You can have like gaming instead of like a lot of companies now are doing this. Instead of even applying, it's almost like a select out, but you can have this like gaming thing that does about your personality and less about your experience. And then if you make it through, you're kind of, you know, guaranteed some kind of phone interview. So a lot of companies are doing that. So it's nothing to do with your experience.
As long as you don't use the word gamification, I'm going to love you forever. Yeah. Don't ever say that word.
I guess not.
Nobody say that word.
Nobody and it compares it to your top performers. So they first test all your top performers.
Right.
And then you want the people that play this game, to kind of match, and it's interesting.
Okay, so interesting. So gaming blocks gender and racial bias, because I was going to say, doesn't that bias against women? Because I'm not into gaming, so I was like immediately going.
Yeah,
but actually, so apparently it doesn't. Oh, like the Dyson presentation at RecFest yesterday. Oops.
Was
that before? No, that was early.
That stuff is that stuff's way above my pay grade, kid. So.
No, just it's curious.
Fascinating.
Or just other stuff. But when you think again about how far we've come in such a short space of time, like none of this, gaming in a job application, you didn't get that. I mean, I remember as a kid, we had the little ball go across the screen and you just moved the block, take them back and forth.
The good news, I mean, I think after everything we've been talking about, the good news is that the boats are being lifted a little bit, and they have been for, and not even, probably even starting before Talent Board and the Candies, but we think we have hopefully had something to do with it and just getting awareness generated. And companies are, when you dig in deep, the companies are making, a lot of talent acquisition teams are making a concerted effort to improve recruiting efficiencies. And it's not just about, because when we talk about candidate experience, sometimes we get like this, marshmallow clouds, rainbows, and unicorn feel of like, and that's, but there's really a business, there's a business impact there. There's actually, you know what I mean? It is important.
Really is.
So there are companies that are making a concerted effort to do that. And sometimes you can't, there's no one company, big or small, that could ever do all of the things right all of the time in recruitment. It's just impossible. There's too many factors, economic, political, leadership changes, churn in the team, too many things that impact what you do. But, identifying 1 or 2 or 3 areas of improvement and areas that you're actually doing well in, and keep doubling down on that while you're working on to improve. These are some things that we can do now. Maybe it's process, maybe it's technology, maybe it's a people issue. But it's not always about big change management initiatives. It's just incremental changes that can go a long way.
Yeah, I think sometimes we just overcomplicate it as well.
Right, exactly.
You're right. It could just be actually the recruiter just needs some training. They're just a bit lost, or it could be something so small.
I think it was Stacey Zapar that said she blocks off she used to block off Friday afternoon, and just to call people back and give them feedback. Because I think otherwise you just get so busy you can maybe forget or don't get to it. Where I think blocking it off is a good idea.
And I do hear that from, it's refreshing to hear that more and more, that are recruiters that are really trying to make the time to, at least for the future fit folks and the finalist lists of touch, and also following up, right? Maybe you're not a fit now, but there's, I hear that trend, again, anecdotally, but there's more of a follow-up of somebody that, a few months down the line, hey, just checking in, see how you're doing. I know that you weren't a fit before, but I mean, that, again, that just goes a long way from a customer service perspective, and me wanting to still be. Here's another, this is kind of an extreme story, and folks might have fun with this one, but I share it all the time because Capital One lets me share it. But they've had this kind of, it took a culture shift internally, but they really do empower their recruiters to do what they need to do to get the hire, to get those positions filled. So there's a gentleman who's a business analyst candidate, high level. Google was looking at him, Apple, Capital One brought him in. He came in on the train, his luggage didn't show, and he had a whole slate of interviews the next day. So the recruiter, she just said, you know what, come with me. She took him downtown and went to a men's clothing store, bought a reasonably priced off the rack suit for him and tie to wear the next day. He wore it, went through the interviews. 2 months later, he took the job. And one of the things he referred to was that the way he was treated, not just that incident, but just overall, the whole experience, that is like, wow, they really, showed me a great experience overall. Compassion. And so I took the job, and yes, she did get reimbursed for it. Because people always ask, no, but I know, but
that not necessarily.
Right, but she did that. She did. But I mean, that's an extreme case. But the point is that they have now, and it took time to get there, but they have that culture of empowerment for the TA team to do what they need to do to make it happen. And they have mandatory candidate experience training, and they're not the only company doing this, but these are things that we see now, right? The companies that participate in our research, and we see that rise to the top. That makes
so cool.
it makes a lot of difference at the end of the day, and they know it again because they know it impacts their business and their referral networks. And now, but like the Virgin Media example, there are a lot of companies that are really working to try to quantify that, because that helps them make the business case to these are the things we need to do a better job in recruitment today. And they're really starting to put that together. I mean,
and you kind of look at it and you kind of go, it's crazy that we have to make such an effort to prove this. We are people. People run the company. I say this all the time. It's like it's a people business.
Exactly.
It should just be easy to go, you know what, we need this.
Right.
Here it is, because the people.
Yeah, but it all comes down to the Benjamins sometimes.
Yeah, because they got it all ass about face.
And then there's a great slide that I got from a friend of mine in the industry, Scott Weaver, who did work for Cumming as the director of talent acquisition. I think he just changed to Teradata now. But anyway, really good guy. But a slide that he used in his presentation, really, it showed a cartoon butt plus a seat equals happy boss, right? So, butts and seats but that's the reality every day. Everything else that we were talking about at this one workshop that he helped us do, empowering recruiting and improving candidate experience. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a business reality to this messy human transaction called recruiting that we do, right? And hiring. So, is to get people in the seats. So that's true too. You can't get away from that.
People in the seats, not just people.
Right.
Because I think there was, I can't remember the figure. It was definitely 6 figures. They were showing the figure of the cost of failed recruitment, like somebody leaving in such a short space of time. It's just, and then there's that knock-on impact of all the projects not being delivered in the business. I don't know.
It's a dominant.
I rant about this every week.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's that accounting is way above my pay grade. So there you go.
So as we wind down the last 9 minutes, you thought you couldn't talk for an hour. Yeah. It goes like that, because Audra and I are so cool to chat to.
No, you guys, this has been great. I thank you so much for having me on. Absolutely.
No, I'm not done. I wanted you to give it now in 8 minutes. Like your number one thing, if people leave this today and go away, what's the number one thing you suggest they should do to rank better in candidate experience?
To whether you participate in a program like Talent Board and the Candidate Experience Awards, or you do your own internal feedback surveys, however you want to do it, use a third-party service, develop your whatever. Ask your candidates for their feedback across all points, and not just the ones that you hire, because I mean everybody probably will get this, but think about the fact that even if those that you hire have a crappy time getting to the door, and then you ask them how their experience was, they're more than likely going to still rate you higher because they got the job, right? So there's that halo effect. So I recommend asking the majority of at least a portion of your rejected candidates, what did they experience? And not just ask them maybe 3 or 5 questions and kind of NPS related type questions, ratings questions like Likert scales, 1 to 5 Likert scales. Ask an open-ended question too, like, is there anything else you'd like to tell us? Because that can be worth its weight in gold. There could be things, insights in there besides just negative rants like you suck, thanks for not hiring me. You could get some dots to connect that you weren't putting together internally, right?
Yeah.
So
sorry, the rude comments going on down the side. It's funny because I think about
that's why I'm not looking.
My gorgeous friend Monica's just started a job, and the whole way through it's like, this place seems like it's got work-life balance, and everything I'm reading online seems like that, and all the people I'm meeting seem like that. And she still started, though, with this healthy skepticism that it couldn't possibly be true. And she's now 3 weeks in and discovering every single day that it's true. But she just, it's like quite funny. And you think if she's actually had positive all the way through and still kind of concerned, because I think we've forgotten how big a move it is for people as well to change jobs. Not your contractors per se, but it's a big deal.
It is.
To kind of start a new job. So.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it is.
Jackie, like at the last minute. What's she doing? Hey, Jackie. Really late.
So that's my recommendation is ask for feedback so you know what you're doing well and what you're not doing so well with those candidates that are going through your hiring process.
Yeah, and if you have really low budget, you could even use like SurveyMonkey, right?
Yes. Yeah, of course.
Anything that'll catch a response.
And we're always really open with and sharing like the questions that we ask in our research publicly. So if anybody ever has any questions, I'm happy to share that.
For companies to enter the candies, do they have to be a certain size or is?
So to participate, thanks for asking that. So right now we're in the middle of the 2017 survey research capture, I guess, portion of our program. Companies, it's any sizes, but the reality is that you need to have to be able to be statistically valid in the research and to have at least 100 completed candidate surveys. You'll need to be able to do that, target at least a couple of thousand rejected candidates, because most of our research is the rejected candidate responses with some higher. You can have that still. It's about an 80-20 split. But so if you don't have that volume, if you're truly a pure startup and we're talking like in the dozens of people and you've maybe had dozens of candidates that you've looked at, or even a few hundred, you might not be able to make the numbers. But once you start getting above that, then you can hit what I call our magic numbers in our research. But it's really easy. You can find out more by going to the talentboard.org, and it's all right there on our site.
It's got the in it.
Yeah, it's thetalentboard.org. Yes, thetalentboard.org. And we're still, companies can still participate. There's plenty of time. And North America is getting a little bit tight, but there's time. But EMEA and APAC can still participate through. The deadline for North America is August 15th, although that may slide to September 1. That's just to complete the surveys. It's November 1st for EMEA and APAC right now.
Okay.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Kevin. This was really useful.
Yeah.
Thanks, ladies.
Really good and really tactical stuff to take away as well, which is really cool.
You feel better now, Katrina?
No, still hungover, but I'm just
gonna hair of the dog.
I'm just gonna call it a day and go past.
There you go. Right? Sure, there you go.
Hey, look, it's like 4 p.m. and it's Friday. You know, I work for myself. I'll make it up somewhere else, like I always do. Right. I mean, that is the joy of working for yourself, isn't it? So. Next week we have Billy McDermott on, who also is responsible for my hangover. I'm blaming anybody but me for this as well. So he's a bit of a sourcing god, so goodness knows what we'll end up talking about. So that's next week, same time, same place, different link.
Awesome.
But yeah, cool. But thank you again. I know it's taken forever to get you on, but we did it.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. It was great.
No, it's my pleasure. Thanks, ladies.
Cool. Bye.
Right.
Thanks.
Bye.
See you next week. Bye.